Time for you to sit down and allow the powers that be to penetrate your thoughts. It's now time for Pancho, the Crystal Skull Hour here on JGLN Radio with your host, Mario.
Considered an anomaly by modern scholars and scientists, the crystal skulls have penetrated the human imagination for many years. Several crystal skulls that have been discovered are in many places, including on display in museums, in the possession of private collectors, and some are traveling the world with energy healers and psychics. Recently, another crystal skull has surfaced. This skull has its origins in southern Mexico, but many believe that it came from Atlantis, or even perhaps from a faraway galaxy. His name is Pancho, and he is called the New Generation Crystal Skull. Many people who have met Pancho talk about how happy he is, and how good they feel when they are around him. Others talk about information they receive from him, and almost everybody feels the strong, positive energy that he emits. Whether you're listening to this show out of curiosity about the legend of the 13 crystal skulls and the Mayan prophecy of 2012, or you are seeking more information about the psychic and metaphysical aspect of crystal skulls, or you are just intrigued by Pancho and would like to get to know him better, we are very glad that you are here. Pancho, a crystal skull, was found many years ago in an archaeological site in southern Mexico. The location where he said he was from was once inhabited by the Zapotec civilization. The Zapotec civilization was an indigenous pre-Columbian civilization that flourished in the valley of Oaxaca in southern Mexico. Archaeological evidence shows their culture goes back at least 2,500 years. They left archaeological evidence at the ancient city of Monte Alban in the form of buildings, ball courts, magnificent tombs, and grave goods, including finely worked gold jewelry. Monte Alban was one of the first major cities in Mesoamerica and the center of a Zapotec state that dominated much of what we now know as the current state of Oaxaca. In the native Nahuatl language, Zapotec means people of the clouds. In the early 1960s, my grandparents started a tour company to bring tourists to the ancient sites in Mexico. In one of their visits to Monte Alban, they were approached by a mysterious man who had in his possession a beautiful skull carved from pure quartz crystal. The skull was hollow, about 10 inches tall, and weighed nearly 15 pounds. They were fascinated by the piece. He revealed to them that the skull had been found at this sacred site of the Zapoteca, and that he wanted the family to have the skull as a tribute to everything they had done to promote and help the indigenous people of the area. He also bestowed to them other pieces made out of precious stones. For many years, the crystal skull was kept in the private home of my family. After the death of my grandmother in September of 2009, I was given the skull. My name is Mario, and I live in Las Vegas. I have dedicated myself to sharing Pancho with others. His first communication to me was that he wants to be revealed and he wants to be exposed. So I now welcome you to the Pancho Crystal Skull Hour. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome again to the Pancho Crystal Skull Hour. We're very happy to have you here today. My name is Bojorquez, and I am your host for the show. I'm here today with Pancho, of course. He's always with us, and in each and every one of our shows. The show is dedicated to him. We talk about him, his history, what's coming up, special events that he's going to be a part of. And we also choose topics that are relevant to Pancho. Today we have a very, very special guest. Her name is Annabella de Corro. Annabella de Corro is an expert on the history and science of hand analysis. We're going to be talking about a variety of things. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about, and which I'm really happy to talk about, is about our country that we share, the country of Mexico. Pancho's origins, as people heard on the introduction, are from Mexico, from the southern part of Mexico, from Oaxaca. And Annabella, you're from Mexico also.
Well, un saludo divino y cósmico a todas las Américas. A divine and a cosmic hello to all of the Americas.
You know, one of the things that is going to happen probably in the show is, and that we haven't had before, is since we both are native Spanish speakers,
yes.
If a little Spanish comes out in our conversation,
yes.
When we speak to each other, it just comes out. It's innate in us. It's part of who we are.
Yes.
So when I first met you, which was just a couple of weeks ago,
yes.
one of the things that really I was so happy to hear come out of your mouth was that you consider yourself an ambassador of Mexico.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me what that entails. What is that all about?
Right. Well, you see, I'm a Mexican-American like yourself, and I've lived in 6 different countries around the world. I speak 4 languages. And I really got on a mission in '92 to go back to Mexico and really reclaim my roots. And I live in a fabulous magnetic field, cosmic place called San Miguel de Allende.
I've been there. It's very beautiful.
Guanajuato, yes. And it happens to be a mystical vortex there. You know, it's a petrified ocean. 30 million years ago, this was an ocean, and it's full of quartz crystals. If you were to break up the streets, it's full of quartz crystals. And yes, my mission is to set humanity straight on what's going on in our divine, mystical country of Mexico.
Correct. And you talk about mysticism. San Miguel de Allende is a very mystical place. Actually, you just found some archaeological, or they're opening up an archaeological site.
It was just discovered recently in the last few years. Yes, it's called La Cañada de la Virgen.
La Cañada de la Virgen.
It happens to be a pyramid that dates back to the Olmecas. And it was a way of, it's interesting how they designed that pyramid, but I'd like to go into that later. I really would like to touch on the subject of what's going on about slandering Mexico. The fact that we have a problem in the border, and that's the north of Mexico, that's not south. That's not, I mean, I heard there was an incident right now in Cancun, but unfortunately what's happened here, this is the reality. This is the time to really have a reality check. You know, we're approaching 2012. That's the Mayan calendar. Mexico is the land of the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Olmecs, the Chichimec. So many wise culture, you know, Mesoamerican. Mesoamerican means before the Spaniards' invasion. So 2012 is marking going back to the mystic points of the planet. Mexico happens to be the India of the Americas. On the planet, there are 5 mystic points. One of the most important is Mexico. That's why it's the #1 producer of silver. And silver is the most powerful magnetic metal there is on the planet, even higher vibration than gold, #1. That's why it happens to be in the form of a cone, which represents the cone of abundance. Now, Dr. Patrick Flanagan, back in the 70s, wrote 2 books very important called The Power of the Pyramids. Were bestsellers back in the 70s. You were just a baby in those days. Well, I was very young too, but I happen to know Dr. Flanagan, and when he came to Mexico, I was his simultaneous translator as he addressed the media and talked about the energy of the magnetic field of Mexico, of the pyramids of Teotihuacan, of how they were aligned with the pyramids in Egypt, and how even in the hieroglyphics of the Mayans and the Aztecs, which are the same hieroglyphics, the information was there that the Garden of Eden was Mexico. Now, what has happened right now, which I am so hurt, I am so upset, because I'm a citizen of the world, but I represent Mexico.
Right.
Now look, we just got a Miss Universe that's Mexico, a goddess of Mexico. You know, the universe is sending strong messages here, but I see that in the United States, the left-brain people, or the Republican-type mode, or the people who are extreme right in their politics, have decided to create a campaign against Mexico.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So let's just say, okay, yes, there is a drug war going on in our country, as there was once in Colombia, as there's been around the world. Just Las Vegas. I've been here visiting for a couple of months, and every day I see the news, people dying, being killed in the city of sin and pleasure, people being thrown from buildings, and nobody's saying, don't go to Las Vegas and spend your money. So therefore, I really think it's a slander that people say, oh, don't go to Mexico, they're going to kill you and rob you. No. You know what's happened was Presidente Calderon has declared a war against this cartel. He has decided that they're not going to play with him, so that's why there's something going on in controlling the borders. But then again, you see, we were armed, these cartels were armed by the border stores that sell arms to Mexico. Because in Mexico it's been forbidden since the 1800s to sell arms. You know that, right, Mario?
I know that. But let me, you know what?
I hope you're not sympathetic.
No, of course not. What I'm going to tell you is this, is that I'm very happy and I'm very glad I can see your passion. I have the same passion, and now I understand why you call yourself an ambassador of Mexico.
Absolutely.
And you're promoting Mexico. What I wanted to ask you, though, very quickly, because we're going to...
Are you promoting Mexico?
I promote Mexico all the time. I promote all of Mexico all the time. I wanted to ask you, now that the crystal skulls are surfacing, that Pancho is surfacing,
yes.
You said Mexico was the India of the Americas.
Absolutely.
What is the connection between what's going on with the crystal skulls and what Mexico, the significance of Mexico for in history and what's going to happen in 2012?
Well, first, let's clear up.
And I just want to tell you one thing, though. We're going to go into commercial breaking, though, but we'll continue everything afterward. But if you could give us a little introduction right now.
Well, I'm saying that this is a moment of the closing of the calendar of the Mayans. Now, the Mayans were no fools. They knew their stuff. So what are they saying? That this is the time where humanity is going to have to wake up and understand that we are one humanity. We are not, I'm Latin, somebody's black, the other person's white, the other person's Jewish. No. We are one race on this planet. It's called the human race.
And do you believe that that is the information that the crystal skulls, and especially Pancho here, hold for humanity?
What it is, it's about the whole of humanity, and it's about healing. It's about healing our hearts and the misinformation that we've gotten. Look, you see that light does travel from one galaxy to the other through water, but we'll talk about this as we come back. Okay?
We'll continue talking. Thank you, Annabella, so much. I really appreciate that passion that you have for Mexico, and it's wonderful. We will be coming back right after this commercial break.